Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevet, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Hi, I'm Jason. Welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway, and we are excited today. We got a great guest. We got Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. Dr. Reverend Paul, how are you?
Blessed as always, brother. How you been?
Oh, I'm feeling so good, feeling great. Scott, however, is not with us today. He wrecked his motorcycle a while back and he's taken his pins out of his leg.
Oh,
So there we go. Anyway, we're going to have a great show today. It's going to be wonderful because we have you here and we're excited to travel down your magical psyche highway. So, are we ready to get started?
I'm looking forward to it.
Great. So, first question. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm duly ordained. My first ordination so it came through my college, from where I got my doctorate from in metaphysics, and working with the spiritual, working with it doesn't matter what. There is no specific religion. It's a spiritual organization, and doing spiritual work. We work in the ecclesiastical orders, and had to get ordained to them. And then later on, after my doctorate, the universe found me and found a path through the order of Melchizedek, and got through ordained through the order of Melchizedek, and also through my church that I was a spiritualist church that I was pastor of for about not quite a year, just before the pandemic, and but working in the spiritual aspect as a medium, trained medium, trans channel mediumship, astral travel to yeah, really crazy stuff, and remote viewing. My research is a lot into the consciousness. What are we? Who are we? Where are we? When are we? Why are we? So we ask a lot of those questions every day. Well, I think my life mission is to try to explain that, try to dig deeper into the course of the human condition. So,
Well,
and
Paul, it sounds like there's a lot of paths you're traveling on. Can you define it a little better for us so our viewers get an idea of what you are all about? Let's step into that woo.
woo woo, yeah. Um, Everybody has that question in their mind, and it might not be on an everyday. You wake up in the morning and go, why do I do what I do? Like, why am I here? What's the purpose? Why do I wake up every morning, go to work? And now, whether people have a job that they enjoy and they really like and they feel meaning from it, great, awesome. Blessings to you. You got a purposeful life. You found your direction. But at the same time, too, on the flip side to that, I'm sure there is quite a few people out there that have woken up one day at some point and have asked that question, like, why do I do this? Why do I wake up it's good that you wake up, but like deep deep back there in the mind, in the subconscious, conscious, there's something like, I want something different. What is the meaning of this? Why do I do this? Well, we're not asking the right questions. And as a spiritualist, as also a medium, and working with, working on both sides of the veil, so to speak, is I don't think we're asking the right question. we might be asking it, but are we asking it correctly? Are we asking the divine? Are we asking our spirit guides? Are we asking our higher self? I think the work, I believe the work that I do is helping us, helping teach people to arrange themselves in a better way every day, to live life at their fullest, to find answers to those questions. What is my purpose in life? How do I harness and pay attention and be apprehensive in the here now, in my waking moment or sleeping? Who knows? You got to chart that too. Especially if it's meaningful. Especially you wake up and go, wow, that's a really cool dream. That meant something. But to help people chart this information and chart these questions to find direction in their life. And because everybody's got a purpose. Everybody's here for a reason. We're all here. The main reason is we're all here to help each other. We're a global collective society. We're here to help our fellow human being. That's what we're here for. Is to help. Is to be of service to one another. That is the main overlying blanket mission of everybody. But as an individual, what are we here for? And that is an answer that we all are seeking at some point in time, whether it's now, whether it's during your midlife crisis, if you have one, if you've had one. And two, I use different modalities. I reach out to a collective of professionals in the field, other metaphysicians that some of my colleagues, as well as other practitioners such as yourself, Jason. Thank you for being on my show as well, and getting this information out there, helping people move forward. Don't be stagnant. Have that. Find out what that purpose is. Set it in motion. Get that momentum going in your life, and staying on target. Because we all do not want to be at that point in our life. And I tell you what, we're never going to get out of this alive, ever. None of us are going to get out of this alive. We don't want to be at that very end moment and have regrets. That is the worst thing to leave with, are regrets. And let's find them now. Let's look at the things that we truly want to do that give us purpose. Whether it's from the divine, from our higher selves, from the cosmos, who are we? Those are the questions. Those are the answers that we're looking for, the answers to those questions. And there's different ways to answer them, different ways. But are we asking those questions correctly? I don't know. What say you?
So Paul, let me ask you a big question here. So since we're looking back and you're talking about regret and looking back, when did you have that aha moment? Like, wow, I got this. I can really help people. When did that come? What was that like?
Growing up as the only child all my life, really. I had a lot of time to move inward, and still do. I mean, we all have to do it. I think it all came to the pivotal point in my life when, it was my first and my last marriage, the only one thus far. And it was at that point was when I made that decision. This is what I want to do. I've always been interested in this work, but that was the point where my higher self, divinity, came in and showed me the roadmap, gave me that next path of helping others, because I thought I was a failure. I'm like, how did I fail at marriage? I wasn't even married that long. We weren't even together that long. It was just like, well, whose mistake was this? I was blaming myself. I was blaming her. I was blaming the world. I was blaming God. I was blaming everything. It's like, why? Why? How can I not handle this? I've got to be better than this. I've got to be. And I blame myself for it. But deep inside, I knew that that was not the answer, that there was something bigger for me to explore, for me to find. And I did ask that question. I'm like, who am I? What, what, what purpose do I have? And I remember when the author Neil Donald Walsh asked that question, which started his books, A Conversation with God. And God comes back and says, you really want to know the answer to that question? You already know the answer to that question. So when I asked it, it was like, here you go. This is, you're not a failure. It's just you didn't understand. You didn't understand the direction. So I had to look at life in a completely different, through a different lens, really. Looking at the room at a different angle. And seeing it that way, I'm like, whoa, wow. When it comes to a metaphysical, paranormal, supernatural, anomalous, however you want to explain it, of when you ask the divine some answers and it gets shown to you, whether immediately or in segments, those are evidential. That's evidential stuff from the cosmos, from God, and you can't mistake in that. Some people call them synchronicities that we got to pay attention to. But they're very interesting signals. Now, what happened was, when that happened, it was almost like I left my body, like I stepped out, and I was reviewing. It's almost like a out of body experience, and I've had one of those too, from a motorcycle accident. And it was like I stepped outside of myself and viewed my entire life from another point of view, looking at everything individually and separately, and seeing the path, seeing the timeline, and seeing these. It was really, really awesome. And seeing that from a different perspective. I wouldn't say it from a divine perspective, but it was nothing less than divine, nothing less than divine. So then it was like you get snapped back in the body, and you're like, wow, now you know what the next direction is. Started reaching out to friends of mine that were practitioners, shamans mainly, spiritualists, shamans, medicine men, different practitioners in the field of metaphysics. And like, yeah, I want to be a shaman. I want to practice the spiritual arts. I want to be an Indian doctor. I want to be a spiritual guru. I want to be a yogi. I just, that's what I want to do. And because I want to teach people how to find that part, that light, that oneness. And they were like, well, at the time too, I mean, the internet was fairly, was it 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. And I went online and I started researching, looking around, and it took time. And like I said, it depends on what you ask, how you ask it. The answers will be given to you. It's just like it's like The Secret, so to speak.
Well,
Law of attraction.
well, speaking about asking and
Mhm.
questioning and the way to ask, who do you ask for guidance? Where do you get your answers? Who do you talk to? Who are your mentors?
I would say my mentors or those that I ask the questions to, it could be all the same thing, all the same group, but I ask my higher self, I ask God, um, I ask the divine, I ask the universe, sometimes out loud, sometimes in here, or my spirit guides. Because also as a spiritualist, and as a practicing shaman as well, we always are connected with our ancestors in spirit, asking them. Um, but also that belief, that belief of understanding that they exist, that energy is there and is there to serve you, um, is also powerful. So it's that group, all of them basically. It's the universe, them, ancestors, spirit guides, God, the divine, the higher self. Um, yeah, that's basically where I what I ask it. But it also comes some of these questions too are, come not only from the mind but from the heart, from the heart center, and making sure all of the energy centers too within the chakra are, depending on where that question stems from, is feeling it. Where in the body do you feel that where where it's coming from too? So you
Do you
got
have any physical people that live on Earth? People that you look up to that are there for you when you need them. When
um
when that voice doesn't come clear.
yeah, yeah. I'd say my mother, which um um yeah, my mother right now, she'll be 75 actually this coming, yeah, the end of this week actually, it's 75. Um she kind of gets it. She kind of gets the work that I do finally. I wouldn't say finally though. I think she gets it, but I it's more of a, I think it might be a little bit more of a woo woo for her, but I think she kind of, it's kind of like on the back burner of her understanding. It's like, that's really cool stuff. I'll leave that to you type stuff, you know? Um, she means well. Um, and she would be the person I usually look up to and kind of, give her some, ask her, like, what would you do on this? What would you do with this? What would you do with that? And then aside from her, I really don't have any really much family really left. I'm kind of like the lone wolf in this thing as far as the bloodlines, other than uh, the ancestors that have also have passed over since. Um, but then as far as in other options would be other practitioners that I have grown to know very well, that I consider friends and family, um, and have established a really, really good trust in the field. Um, so, and I think at this point in time in my life too, I think I'm getting and at that next pivot, that next pivotal moment that I've been in the soup long enough. Now I gotta kind of out of the frying pan and back into the fire. Going, all right, here's the next pivot. It's coming. So, but
Nice. Well, you're a reverend, you're a doctor, you got all kinds of stuff going on from all kinds of different directions. Do you have any? We know you have your podcast,
mhm.
and it was a wonderful podcast, by the way. but do you have any books or seminars or anything that you'd like to share with our viewers?
That is actually on the way. That is my next pivot. Is I am working on my first book, which is 10 years in the making, believe it or not. This was the work that I was doing all of my research, all of my consciousness research, as my thesis, but instead took the road of doing the coursework for the doctorate rather than, I'm like, I'm not ready for the thesis. I'm still doing the research, blah, blah, blah. Now that the research is pretty much, the majority of the research is done, now it's getting it all together, bringing it all in one spot and putting it down, laying it all down, into a book.
Have you got your title? What's it about?
I don't have the time. I was told by a couple writers, don't worry about the title until you're done. Don't worry about your chapters until you're done. Just keep writing. I'm looking probably at anywhere from 12 to 15 chapters. And this is the original book was going to be called Your Time. And it's about getting their listener to change their frame of thinking into viewing and reviewing their life story, and especially those who are kind of like trapped, like how we started off with the show, getting like, why are we here, what's going on, but looking at our consciousness and kind of stepping out of ourselves and reviewing ourselves in a way that is very beneficial if we're lost, if we're lost in life, what's going on. But then, each chapter is set up. The book would actually start off as, where did this all start? Why are we here? When did this all start? Starting all the way back to the cradle of civilization in Mesopotamia, between the two rivers of the Tigris and the Euphrates, and how this technology, the ancient mystery schools, and just technology in general, it's like all this knowledge that is 4,000 plus years old, how it's been around for so long. When you look at it, we haven't really progressed much. Why? We should be thousands and thousands and thousands of years ahead of time. What's being held back? What type of information are we losing? Is it being concealed from us? So I do touch a little bit on, I wouldn't say conspiracy theory, but there's information out there that's been lost, whether it's on purpose, or maybe we're not looking in the right place. The answers are there. The answers are really there. And that's what I dig into in the book, at the beginning of the book. And then I break things down from chapter to chapter, like certain techniques like mediumship. What is mediumship? How can we use mediumship to be able to connect to other dimensions? How can we, which is a craft that's been used for millennia. And looking at certain techniques of vibrational medicine and energy medicine, using our subtle energies to help heal us and help us understand ourselves and what's happening. And then I kind of get into the fun aspects of getting people to, with certain exercises on looking at certain things in a different way. And I do plan on putting some trans channel sessions in there, based on some questions, and basically written, channeled through and written down in a couple sessions and stuff. That, though, would probably be coming. I'm trying to get that information pulled in. I have a trip coming up. I think I may have mentioned it to you when you were on my show. I have a trip set up in July to Mount Shasta, up in Redding, Northern California. And I was asked when I was getting ready to book the trip, they're like, "You're going." I heard that voice. It was like from the divine. You're going. You're going. Money's no object to this one. You're going because we have something to show you. We are going to give you some information. And then I heard, start writing your book. And then I'm like, now it's all coming together. So perhaps in this book will also be messages from the ascended masters. Saint
So,
Germain.
so you got this, you got you're a reverend, you're a spiritualist, you're a shaman, you got all this stuff going on. So do you see things? Do you read auras? Do you feel energies? Do you see things coming from other people?
Yes, yes. Sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm not supposed to see it. Sometimes I just feel it. Um, I definitely feel it more than I see it. But things have been changing. I at a certain point, I guess it's all about how you tune your own frequencies, how you're tuned to where you're able to perceive specific things. For years I've been asking myself, why can't I see it? Why can't I see it? And then like slowly, every now and then I'll see something. I'll see like the aura around somebody. I'll see like a bluish hue or a green or an orange, or it moves away and it kind of like emanates off around their field. Um, Mainly I'll for the longest time I felt the energy. I remember when I was living in Shanghai, one of the largest cities in the world. Um, for for somebody who grew up in the country and you get to live in one of the largest cities in the world. It's very, very crazy, very interesting too. And I've never been to New York, believe it or not. I've never been to New York City. So that puts that to shame. So when I got into the city, being around all these people that I did not know, being in a culture that I was completely foreign to, I kind of tested this, and I think, yeah, I was still a student medium. It wasn't until when I came back to the States, within that first year after I came back to the States, um, I was then became an actual certified medium. And I tested what I felt, tested some of these abilities. I would either stand, I'd get on the subway or be on the bus, and I would connect, energetically connect. And I wouldn't even have to talk to the person. I would just immediately see the person sitting across from me in the subway, and I would just energetically connect. And I would feel like I would either feel sorrow or feel happiness or feel confusion, whatever type of emotion, I'd feel that like immediately. And then I'd kind of get into it more. And these are just exercises that I would do then. And a couple weeks later, and this was a story that I had to tell um, um, our Reverend Ben Cox, the late Reverend Ben Cox. He passed away in 2018. And when I told him and the parishioner when I got back, he was like, "Yes, you're ready. You're ready." Um, normally, a spiritualist medium or a medium in general doesn't don't they the living, those who are here in this third dimension, usually come to a medium and say, "Hey, yeah, I'd like a message from my loved one who had just passed away, so and so, blah blah blah." That's normally how it works. Normally, it's not that often at all that it's that spirit comes in and says, "Hey, can you give a message to so and so that's there, still alive?" That doesn't happen. At least that's never happened to me since. Um, so I was in a restaurant with some friends of mine, some coworkers of mine, and I was sitting at the end of the table. We were getting ready to leave. We finished up our meal, paying our bills, and I suddenly get like this, like I was in trance. I suddenly my everything went blank, and I saw this woman, this old Chinese woman. She got big glasses on. She's got her hair tied back, and I'm seeing her trying to get my attention, and I see her clear as day, and she's trying to, and she's not talking because I don't hear Chinese or Mandarin. I don't hear the language. It's like she's trying to get my attention, and I'm seeing her hold up this book. She grabs this book and she's opening up this book and she's pointing at it and she's adamant I'm trying to get my attention on this book. And it's a big book. I mean, it's a really big book. It's like, and what I as a student medium and as a medium, someone trying to get into that work, there's something that a medium should always do is letting the spirit world know how to communicate, what is the best way for them to communicate, how, can you talk, I can't normally, I don't hear that well, but I'm good with symbols. That was then. Now I can hear, I can see, I can feel. So things are changing. The instruments are changing. But then it was all symbolism. I can see what she was trying to tell me, but I couldn't hear it. But she used all these symbols. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what to make of this. This is like really, really interesting. And a friend of mine that's sitting next to me, we traveled to Shanghai together, worked together. And he's like, he noticed that there was something off, something happened. He's like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "I think so." Wow. I think so. But what I'm about to tell you, I don't think you're gonna look at me like, "Whoa, like what?" No, no. But we've had conversations before we even went to Shanghai. He didn't know this was the type of work that I did until recently. And then when I explained what I just witnessed, what I just experienced, he's like, "Go with it." I literally said, "I think I have a message for somebody in this room." Spirit came to me to give a message to somebody, but I don't know who it is. And he's like, "Who do you think it is?" And then I asked the question. I'm like, who's this message for? And the the stewardess or the waitress comes to the table. She starts putting the stuff down on the table. Here's your bill, your bill, your bill. And suddenly, boom! I felt the connection. That was it. It was the waitress. And I'm like, crap! It's the waitress. And he's like, okay. So, the decorum for mediumship or a psychic, you just don't go to somebody and say, "Hey, I got a message for you," blah 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 blah, 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 and you just say it. You don't do that. You have to ask for permission. That's the best, the proper way to do it.
And speaking of asking for permission, you've talked about frequencies, you've talked about communication, you talked about messages, you talked about connection.
Mm-hmm.
How do our viewers connect with you? What do they need to do to get in touch with you? How do we go there, huh?
You could find my website at consciousradionetwork.com. Where you can find everything about the podcast, the website. Everything is on that website, from the audio podcast to the video podcast on the YouTube channel or Rumble. And it's 2 shows a week rather than one. We might be going back to one next year, but you can. All our shows, all the episodes are kind of random, but they're all about something metaphysical. From somebody getting out of addiction, how they found their path, to someone that lived with an abuser of narcissism and how they got out of it and how they found their purpose, to mediumship, to finding divinity, to um man, I tell that the sky's the limit, but not always. There's an infinite way of even paranormal. I mean, even paranormal shows we've done, the spooky stuff. Um so but yeah, consciousradionetwork.com has everything. That's the one-stop shop for our show, or for the work that I do. And when my book comes out, don't know when, it's obviously going to be on there. It might have its own website. Who knows? So, but we also have a lot of other authors that we work with too. Conscious Radio Network. And Conscious Radio Network is what we're trying to do is build a community of people all over the world, such as yourself. The work that you do is there to help people, is to be of service to people, and to help people find their path, to find their purpose, to get away from something in life that is not good for them, is not healthy, to get back onto a healthy path of sustainability, of purpose, and is building that community. Conscious Radio Network has a couple different series of podcasts. The main one is called the Séance, and that's twice a week, Wednesday night and Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. And then we have another one. It's kind of developing. It's called Project Truth, a collective awakening. That's a little bit more towards going really deep down the rabbit hole of the occult, secrets, conspiracy. We're not supposed to talk about this type stuff. Which is small. It's on the we have a Patreon channel, but that's also, it's got a page on the Conscious Radio Network website as well. So
Nice.
One-stop shop.
Well, Reverend Dr. Paul, it's been a pleasure traveling down your magical psyche highway. We definitely went off road. So we're glad to have you
Yeah.
here. We certainly appreciate it. And we want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank
But
you.
we're not through yet. I have one more question, the big question.
Absolutely.
What are your words of wisdom to leave to our viewers?
Words of wisdom. My takeaway would be listen. Listen to your intuition. Listen to that voice in your head. It's not just you. It's your divine. It's your higher self. Pay attention to that voice. It keeps you out of danger. It helps you stay on the path of the highest and best. Pay attention to it. And don't be afraid to ask those questions in return. You're not always have to listen to it, but you should also communicate with it. That is our higher self. That is our divine self. That is God. So pay attention to it.
Nice. Sweet. Once again, it's been awesome having you on the show. We've certainly enjoyed having you on the show. We've had a great time. It's been wonderful.
I
So
appreciate it. So did I. I didn't think I'd be talking that much, man. Need
thank
some
you.
water.
Well, we definitely went down your highway and we definitely enjoy it. And thank you for showing up. And
You're
for our
very
viewers out there, thank you for showing up too. We hope you enjoyed the show. We're glad you're here. Remember to follow us. Remember to subscribe. If you like us, give us a thumbs up. If you think we're assholes, we don't care. Just give us a thumbs down. We're just glad you're here, and we hope to see you next week. Thanks for coming.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.